Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing really well. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my 2023 Makeup Empties predictions. So we're going to be going through my collection category by category and talking about how many products I actually believe that I'll be able to finish up in my collection. I'll also be sharing with you some B-roll footage of the products that I believe will be emptied as well, so you can get some insight into that. But in order to keep things a little bit more brief, I don't want to kind of talk about every individual item. I just really want to talk about the number of items. However, in order to really provide a little bit more data and a little bit more information, I've kind of merged my empties analysis with this video as well, so we can actually compare and contrast what my numbers have looked like in years past, what my average has been for each category, and what I really think that I can finish up in this new year. Last year, I did an empties analysis where I talked about my empties from 2019 through to 2021. That video was heavily inspired by Tosh. Her channel is Too Much Tosh. Of course, she will be linked below. She heavily inspired me to really look at my empties more critically from the last few years. And so I've taken that data and I've added in a new column for 2022, added in those counts, and then we've calculated also the average over the last 4 years so that you can just see in comparison what my average is versus what I'm actually thinking will happen for 2023. There are a couple categories that maybe the number is a little inflated, and that's because I'm putting in almost a slight goal. But being on a no buy at this point right now also means that I'm not going to be bringing in new things that are a distraction, that are taking away from my efforts to finish some things from my collection. So it could end up being very different at the end of this year. It would be definitely interesting to look back later on in this year and see the difference of what I've actually been able to use up versus what I had predicted. I did that in 2022 as well, and it was a really fun exercise. Just for a reference point, last year I had predicted that I would finish 38 products for my collection, and I actually ended up with 45 empties. So I could end up surpassing these numbers. Who's to say? But anyways, the rambles are definitely taking hold. Let's hop on into the category by category breakdown. So for primers in 2022, I finished up 2 of them from my collection, which is actually the lowest number that I've ever been able to finish up. My average has actually been 3.25 over the last 4 years. However, this coming year, I really do believe I'll only be able to finish 2 primers for my collection, just knowing the current status of every single primer that I have, how much progress is made on them, and how much I really want to utilize and rotate through all of them. I think 2 is a satisfactory number. Things are getting used up and things will be getting used as well. So that is great. For foundation in 2022, I finished up 2 foundations, and that has been the kind of status quo for 2020 and 2021, 2022. But in 2019, I actually finished up 4. So my average is 2.5 foundations. And I believe in 2023, I'll actually be able to finish 3. So I think I'll actually be able to go on more of an upward trend in this category. That's because my 2 tinted moisturizers are really well used at this point. I also have a foundation stick that has very little product in it, but I don't foresee myself surpassing that because outside of those 3 products, everything else that I have is a little bit more high coverage, and that's just not my preference these days. In 2019, I loved to wear a lot more makeup on my face, and I feel like I was wearing full coverage more often as well. Like that was my go-to. So these days, sometimes I just don't wear any base products whatsoever, or when I do, sometimes it's a very sheer, very minimal amount of products. So to finish off 3 would be a huge feat for me, and I would be really, really happy about that. And I do feel like that is attainable given the status of my current collection as well. For concealers in 2022, I finished off 2. That has been the trend also for the last 3 years, but in 2019, I had blown that number out of the water and I had used 5 concealers. Again, I'm just attributing that to my previous makeup kind of usage habits and the way that I used to prefer my makeup to look. So my average has been 2.75 concealers used up every single year, but in 2023, I don't think that I will be anywhere near that. I actually think that I'll only finish up 1 concealer from my collection, just knowing the fact that I only have 3 concealers right now, 2 of which are relatively new. I really think that just only 1 will be able to get used up. I could surprise myself and complete another one, but I really do like using the Merit foundation as a concealer, and so that I think will take a lot of the uses from my other concealer products, which is fine because they're all newer, they're still pretty fresh, and I'm happy with keeping them around for a few more years as well. For powders, last year was extremely successful for me. I ended up finishing up 4 powders from my collection, 3 of which were pressed powders, 1 of which was a loose powder. All of them were hella old and definitely needed to get used up. So thankfully, I basically reset things in this category. I have 2 brand new pressed powders in my collection and only 1 loose powder remaining that is very old but has really great progress on it. So that is phenomenal. I'm so happy that last year I was able to just ditch a bunch of powders, get them gone. I've actually been able to use up a substantial number of powders every single year because I just oftentimes am flying through loose powder. So I have finished up an average of 3.25 powders every single year. But this next year, I don't foresee that number being anywhere near that. I think I'll only finish up the one and only loose powder that I have. I really don't foresee myself being able to finish up any of the pressed powders because they are relatively new. And I don't tend to use a huge volume of powders these days either. I just don't. So 1 powder empty will be the number, and that's it. That's it, and I'm okay with that. I would love to get that one used up, so that would be great. For setting sprays in 2022, I finished up 2 setting sprays, which was great. Year after year, I've kind of had a little bit of a roller coaster with these numbers, and my average has been 2.75 setting sprays used up, which is pretty consistent. Seeing the numbers across the board, I have 3, 2, 4, and 2. However, for 2023, I won't be keeping up with that trend. I will only be using 1 setting spray, if that. I only have 1 in my collection, so if I feel inclined to work through it, then sure, I might end up doing that. But if I, fall off of using setting spray in any capacity, then this number could quite possibly be 0, and that is totally fine. That's just what I have in my collection, and I'm okay with that. For bronzers, last year I finished up 2, which is great. My average year after year has been 1.5 because in 2019 I did finish 2, but then in 2020 and in 2021 I finished up only 1 each of those years. So, I've been kind of consistently around the 1 or 2 number, which is fine with me. At least I'm bringing down my bronzer collection year after year. And my prediction for 2023 is that I'll only finish up 1. Could be a stretch. This might be a little bit of a dream category, but as you may or may not know, I am working on my Charlotte Tilbury Film Star Bronze and Glow in my project pan, and I could maybe see myself using that one up. Otherwise, my bronzer collection looks pretty well loved. I've hit pan on 3 out of my 4 bronzers in my collection, so that is great. But none of them are near really using them up, except for possibly the Charlotte Tilbury. So that is a number that could be 0, could be 1, but I thought I'll put 1 here and hope for the best. For blush, last year I finished up 1 just in the nick of time. At the very end of the year, I finished 1 blush up, and while it was a mini, it still counts. My average in this category is 1.25, and that's because in 2021, I actually finished 2 blushes from my collection, but otherwise I've been consistent with just finishing up 1. And so in 2023, I should write my prediction is 1. I should really write that because I have my Essence one that is so close to done. But I've decided to put my prediction as 2, and I'm gonna try to finish up 1 of my liquid or cream blushes. What you're seeing on the screen is kind of maybe a bit of a stand-in. I'm not sure if I'll finish that one, but it's the oldest one in my collection, and so I'd like to aim to use that up this year if possible. So my prediction is really pretty much 1, but let's say 2. Let's say 2 as my prediction. For highlighter, last year I finished up freaking 5 highlighters. That is unheard of. That is not something that has been the norm for me whatsoever. And the average for that category is actually 2.5. So this coming year, I think I'm going to be just under my average with 2 empties in this category. And with my success with highlighter empties in 2022, I've kind of left myself in a position where I don't have a ton of progress on my highlighter collection, where I think that I'll be able to finish up many more in the upcoming year. In fact, in 2023, I think I'll only finish 2 highlighters for my collection, which is fine. That's better than no highlighters getting used up, but I don't foresee myself being able to surpass 2 because my collection is not that well loved. It's not set up for me to have more empties upcoming, but that's okay. 2 would be great for me. For brows, last year I was able to finish up 2 brow products, which is actually my lowest number in all of these years. My average in this category has been 3, and in the upcoming year, I said that I think I'll be able to finish up 3, but I don't know, more realistically, it might be only 2. One of those prediction products is my Dip Brow Pomade, which has amazing progress on it, but that is a lofty goal to finish that up in the upcoming year. To be honest, the thought of finishing up my Dip Brow Pomade is a little bit daunting, but given the collection that I currently have, it's entirely possible that I could finish it up because it's really my only colored brow product option as my collection is right now, and will remain to be for probably the majority of this year. For eyeshadow primer, last year I finished up 1, and it's kind of gone in waves in this category over the last few years. In 2019 I had 0, in 2020 I had 1, in 2021 I had 0, and last year I had finished 1, so my average has been half a primer every single year. This coming year, I do think that I'll still be able to finish up 1, however, because I'm so close on my e.l.f. glitter glue. Maybe I could finish on my other eyeshadow primer, but I have my doubts because they are very slow going products for me and with my own experience. For eyeshadows, this is a category that I actually don't have a prediction image for you because I really don't know what's gonna happen with this. But last year I was able to finish off 3 eyeshadows. One was a single potted eyeshadow, one was a depotted eyeshadow from a palette, and one was a liquid shadow. So that was great. I was able to finish off a variety of different eyeshadow types for my collection. My average in this category is actually 2.25 products completed, which is great. I would love to see this number go up. However, for 2023, I think I'm just going to say that it will be 2 eyeshadows getting used up from my collection. I might be able to surpass that, but given my track record with this category and the way that I use my eyeshadows, I really don't think that I'll be able to surpass 2, but I would love to use 2. For eyeliners, last year I finished up 2 from this category, and year after year, my average is 2.5. It's kind of wild looking back and seeing that in 2019, I finished up 5 eyeliners somehow, some way. I don't know. I was a different person back in 2019. It's going to show definitely when you see all these numbers. It's wild how much makeup I was able to use up before. But in this upcoming year, I think I'm going to actually be able to surpass my average because my eyeliner collection is very well used and there is some really good progress on it. So I actually think that I'll be able to finish up 3 eyeliners for my collection this year. It will take some diligent work for sure. It's going to be something that I need to consistently be remembering to reach for. But I think I can do it. I really think I could finish up 3. For mascara, last year I was able to finish up 8 mascaras from my collection. I have consistently been able to keep up that number. My average in this category is actually 8.25, and that's because in 2019 I had finished 9 mascaras. But this coming year, I really think that my mascara usage is gonna look a little bit different. I don't foresee myself having more than 1 mascara open at a time, and therefore I should be able to keep them open longer as well because they won't just be left kind of drying out, actively drying out. So I think I'm just going to be using mascara in a different way. And so I predicted that I'll finish off 5 this year, and that is because I currently only have 5. So hopefully by the end of the year, I don't have to actually repurchase any mascaras, but actually work through everything that I have and have a fresh start for 2024. That's my assumption and that's my goal. For lip gloss, last year I did really great in this category. I was able to finish up 5. I have been really consistent with using up lip glosses from my collection over the last 4 years, and my average in this category is actually 4. And I think that I should be able to maintain that average for 2023. My prediction is to use up 4. My current lip gloss collection, however, is pretty much mostly new. It's all stuff that I got in PR in kind of like the tail end of 2022. So I am a little nervous in saying that I might be able to finish 4, but I'm going to aim to do so because I use lip gloss so habitually and I'm using it so consistently, like every single day, no matter what. I think that is attainable. It's just something that feels daunting right now, but I think it's attainable. For lip liner, last year I finished up 1 and man, it was challenging to do so. My average in this category is only 1 as well, and that's because in 2021 I didn't finish any, but in 2020 I finished 2 lip liners, which I'm looking back and wondering how in the heck did I do that? But somehow, some way I did. My average, like I said, is 1 in this category, but next year I don't foresee that being attainable. I actually think I will have a big old 0 in this category because lip liner is hard, really hard to use, and every single shade that I have right now is more of a bold color and has very little progress on it as well. So I think that will be 0 and I'm okay with that. I'm definitely okay with that. And the final category that we have here is lipstick. Last year I finished up 3 lipsticks and that was so great to look back and see that I had 3 lipstick empties. My average in this category is actually only 2, but I'm going to aim to use up 4 for 2023 actually, because I have not been really bringing in that many lipsticks to my collection every single year. I've really minimized the amount that comes in the last few years. I have some really great progress on my lipstick collection, so I think I could use up 4. Putting that in the universe is a little bit stressful, but yeah, I think I could finish 4. I don't know, like 1 a season. Yeah, that seems doable. So my average number of products that I finish up annually is 43.5 products. However, this upcoming year, my prediction total is 35 items to be completed. And that is lower than my average, but realistically, with the way that I use makeup, the way that I consume makeup, the way that I actually apply, like I physically wear less product on my face these days, I think that totally makes sense that my number will be lower. And I really want to focus more time on using the collection that I have, you know, using a little bit of everything as opposed to hyper fixating and finishing things up and only working on the things that I'm trying to finish up. So I'm trying to find that balance. That's a thing that I've been saying for years and years, but I think by really creating that balance, of course, I'll see fewer empties happening, and I am a-okay with that. 35 total empties possibly is still a huge number of products to get used up and work out of my collection. My ultimate goal this year is to surpass 23 empties and 5 pans, and given these prediction numbers, I should be totally fine to do that. So yeah, that is everything for today's video. I hope you enjoyed hearing all the numbers, seeing all the stats on the screen, as well as the products that I really think will be getting used up. Please let me know down in the comments if you have prediction numbers for yourself. Please let me know. I'd love to hear how many products you assume you will be using up this upcoming year. But that, my friends, is everything. Thank you so much for watching and for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.